Mnemonic Devices, Evidence-Based Practice by Fatama, Attie. Today we are going to be examining the use of evidence-based practice of mnemonic devices in context of 6th grade math lessons. The lesson plan incorporates explicit instruction, direct instruction, and cooperative learning to help engage the students. The lesson plan involves having a teacher and a co-teacher present during the lesson. Mnemonic instruction is a set of strategies designated to help students improve their memory of new information. Mnemonic instruction links new information to prior knowledge through use of visual and/or acoustic cues. These strategies have been proven effective with the students at a wide range of abilities, gifted, normal achieving, and those with mild and moderate disabilities. And at all grade levels, it's shown effective. Mnemonic devices are techniques a person can use to help improve their ability to remember something. In other words, it's a memory technique that helps your brain better encode and recall information for later use to help you with problems and such. Mnemonic devices are techniques a person can use to help improve their ability to remember something. In other words, it's a memory technique that helps your brain better encode and recall information for later use to help you with problems and such. Why is this helpful for students who have disabilities? Mnemonic devices are particularly helpful in teaching students with disabilities who have difficulty recalling verbal and content area information. As they are effective with any type of verbal content, mnemonic devices help students encode and retrieve information for later usage. The teaching methods of this plan incorporate the following. The lesson plan will begin with general education teacher teaching and the co-teacher providing support for students with disabilities and without. Secondly, the mnemonic being implemented is the letter strategy, STAR, search, translate, answer, review, which involves the use of acronyms or acrostic sentences mnemonics. The mnemonic device the lesson plan incorporates is the STAR method, search, translate, answer, review, which is an effective instructional strategy with students who have progressed in math sufficiently to learn word problems and equations. The strategy cues students to complete general problem solving steps. Teachers must getting the attention of the students. First, the teacher should use an intentional cue to signal the start of class by standing in front of the classroom and saying it's time to begin today's lesson, or turning up the lights depending on the noise of the students. The students should quiet down and focus their attention on the instructor. Then the teacher should review the basic skills of the word problems being presented in the lesson with a PowerPoint presentation of what they learned last classes period. By doing a few practice problems of old material as a warm-up exercise and allow them 3 minutes to complete it. The teacher should prompt students to write down the answers and the questions in their notebooks. Then the teacher should review the previous lesson that was taught, which was adding and subtracting mixed fractions. The teacher should review the answers by asking students to raise their hands and answer the questions and move on. This is an example of how the teacher should present the first half of the lesson. They should begin by addressing the classroom and saying it's time to start the lesson and to take out their notebooks and to complete the warm-up side. They should present the warm-up exercise on the PowerPoint and ask them to write it down in their notebooks, and then they should ask students to answer it, and then the teacher should present the strategy being presented, which is the STAR mnemonic, and say we're going to be using the STAR mnemonic, and it translates to this: search the word problem, translate the word problem into pictures, answer the word problem, and review the solution you got. The ID portion of The explicit instruction begins like this. The teacher should break down the star mnemonic device, and the teacher should explain how the students should search for the word problem for the important information. Then the teacher should explain to the students how to translate the word problem into diagrams with pictures or variables or symbols to help them understand it. The second part of the I do is to tell the students to answer the word problem the way they know how and review the solution the way they already know how. And the instructor should prompt the students to be writing notes down in their notebook from the PowerPoint presentation, and the teacher should demonstrate an example for the students and ask if anyone has any questions, and then demonstrate again if there are a lot of questions. Example of the I do section would be presenting a word problem like this would be: Sam has 3 1/6 worth pay in his wallet and 4 1/6 weeks pay in the bank. Weeks ago, Sam spent 2 1/6 hours checking a bank balance. How many more weeks of pay in Sam's bank than Sam's wallet? And then have them solve and search the word problem for the important information. Then the teacher should present the let's use the star strategy, and then they should have them pick out the important information, which would be the 3 1/6 weeks worth of pay and the 4 1/6 weeks of pay in the bank, and how many more weeks of pay in Sam's bank than Sam's wallet. That's the important information to solve the word problem, and then they should have them translate. You should have the children now translate the word problem using boxes or drawing out a paycheck, whatever their drawing ability allows them, and they should draw out 4 paychecks with 1/6 of a page, 1/6 of the page on top, minus 3 paychecks and 1/6, and that would equal their answer. Then the student should answer the word problem, and they should get a 1, and then they should ask them to review it and understand how they got 1. And that would conclude using the search, translate, answer, and review method, and ask the students if they need it to be modeled again. We do of explicit instruction involves the teacher passing out worksheet of guided practice word problems corresponding to the class PowerPoint that the class should work on together. They should pass out whiteboards and expo markers so the students can write down their answers and show it to the teacher. The teacher should read out loud the problems and go through the steps together. Then the teacher should ask students what's the next step for solving the problems, going through the search, translate, answer, and review method, and they should verbally hand out each of the STAR steps. Also, he or she could ask students to write their answers on their whiteboards to engage which students are getting the lesson plan. The co-teacher should check the answers of the students with disabilities in the class and see if they need help with any of the questions if they're struggling. We do the co-teacher's responsibilities. The co-teacher should prepare any worksheets for students with disabilities and provide any accommodations or modifications to the lesson that they may need, example, highlighting or enlarging text for the students if that is applicable within their EIP, and or changing any of the material if it is not within their level. We do an example of explicit instruction is first we have a practice problem, and it would be a recipe called for 1 3/5 cups of chopped tomatoes, 1 9/10 cups of diced tomato turnips, and 1 5/6 cups of onions. How many more cups of turnips than tomatoes did the recipe call for? So the important information the student should pick out is next. Next, the students should search for the important information, which would be that the 1 3/5 cups of chopped tomatoes and the 1 9/10 cups of diced turnips, and how many more cups than tomatoes did the recipe call for, and that signifies like subtraction. Then the students should translate it, and you should ask them to draw a diagram of like measuring cups of turnips and chopped tomatoes to understand what they're doing, and they should subtract it. And yeah. Then the teacher should tell the students to answer the problem and subtract it and show their answer, and then ask them to double check their work by reviewing the work. And then they should repeat this for the next 4 other practice problems and doing it with the class as a whole. Then it's the you do of explicit instructions. The students should get into groups of 4 or 3 and work on the next worksheet of class problems. And this will help the students because they can ask fellow students questions while in groups if the teacher is preoccupied or the co-teacher is also preoccupied. Then the teacher and co-teacher should walk around the room and make sure students are getting the problems and answering them right and using the STAR Mnemonic as taught in class and going step by step, search, translate, answer, and review, and seeing if anyone needs any help. Then the teacher and co-teacher should make sure that all the students are getting the problems right, and if they're answering it wrong, they should work with the student independently and show them how to do it through the steps of search, translate, answer, and review, and praise them if they get it right and do it again if they get it wrong. An example of you do would be both teachers walking around and helping students who are struggling with the questions, and then they would model the STAR strategy and make sure that they're praising the students if they get it right, and make sure that they're interceding with students who are struggling and making sure they understand the actual process of the STAR strategy. Next, the teacher should close the lesson after all the students are done with the practice problems. In their groups, they should explain how using the STAR Mnemonic helps solve word problems using mixed fractions that was taught in the previous lesson. And then the teacher should explain what's going to happen in the next class. The teacher should tell the students of the next lesson plan on adding coin amounts together and any readings of the textbook they should complete for the next lesson. And the teacher should assign a worksheet with 10 problems to complete for homework and to show their work using the STAR Mnemonic strategy. Next, the teacher should reflect on their lesson. The teacher should collect the homework and grade the sheets and see which students understand the material and which need more guidance, and put all their answers into an Excel worksheet to better analyze and diagnose what problems they're getting wrong, or what parts are they exactly getting wrong about the STAR Mnemonic strategy. Next, the teacher and the co-teacher should take notes when students are struggling during the response card sessions and when working in groups independently to make sure that they understand which students need more help in later lessons. The teacher should look closely in the graded homework to see if any common mistakes that could be happening due to an error in instruction, and the co-teacher should help monitor the IEP students to see if they are getting the concept. And then an example of reflection would be if for a teacher they notice students having trouble identifying the word problems with a lot of unnecessary information, then this is a problem in the search step, so they should go back and better explain how to search and understand what the word problem is saying, because that could be a reason why they're not getting the answers right on the homework or in class. To conclude, this is an example of how mnemonic devices can help students with disabilities and students with no disabilities, and how it is an effective way to teach word problems and any other type of instructional lesson, and how its use with explicit instruction can help better the learning of students in your classroom. Thank you.